in the New England village where I was born quite a few years ago. The long winter evenings about the open fire, or in colder weather around the kitchen stove, were filled with a number of pleasant occupations. First, there was the general care and upkeep of guns, fishing tackle, and associated equipment. Chores done, there were chestnuts, apples, and sweet potatoes for roasting, popping corn and parching corn, checkerberries, walnuts, and butternuts, cider. All these were part of the regular harvest of the countryside, and so were taken for granted, like the logs in the fireplace and one's parents. There was one thing, however, which retained at all times such a halo of mystery and enchantment that it never came to be taken for granted. This was the cigar box of old copper cents, which my father kept locked up in the grandfather's sea chest, along with certain papers, some old spoons and jewelry, and other trinkets. On evenings when he was feeling especially well disposed, the kitchen lamp would be meticulously trimmed, the red kitchen tablecloth would be cleared of debris and brushed, then out would come the magnifying glass, 4 or 5 well-thumbed coin books, and the cigar box with the big cents. There were about 100 of these old coppers, along with a handful or two of other numismatic miscellanies, mostly early American gold and silver pieces. The latter would always be looked at in passing. They had their interest, but the real objective was to study and try to make out the big cents. We wanted to learn about those cents, but encountered difficulties, which at the time were insuperable. We knew each individual coin fairly well, recognized it readily, knew its date, if it could be made out, its color and external physical characteristics, and could in most instances describe from memory the various insults and injuries, the nicks, bruises, cuts and dents, scratches, file marks, acid burns, and corrosion pits that it bore. Also, we tried by poring through the few cent books that could be found, and by diligent comparative study of the cents themselves, to determine the die variety of each of them. The books revealed that in 1793, for instance, which was the first year in which cents were coined, 3 main types and some 20 varieties were struck. For that year, 1793, we had an excellent book, Crosby, and also for 1794, Frossard Hayes. But it soon became clear that dependable information on the old cents beyond the first 2 years was not to be had. There seemed to be no way in which we, by our own effort, could discover the die variety, the rarity, and the value of such cents as were to be found in that old cigar box. Possibly the fascination of the task lay to no small extent in the difficulties encountered. At any rate, now that I have achieved a neighborly acquaintanceship with old age, and meantime have written other, less soul-satisfying books, I'm no longer able to summon up a good reason for not requisitioning the necessary time and materials to write a book aimed at helping a younger generation of kitchen table scientists on Friday nights to make out the big cents.